I'm Sandern, or Valia Sulphur if you like, and this is my utterly shameless EVE Online PvP Alliance Tournament application video. So what's the point of this little video? Well, it's to show that I can waffle on at length about everyone's favourite subject, EVE Online, and more specifically about PvP and the Alliance Tournament. So basically this is going to be broken up into two bits. One, from the perspective of someone who's had the chance to participate in the tournament before, and secondly, to speculate wildly about what we're going to see in this year's tournament. So what's it like to sit in the pilot seat during the tournament? It's terrifying. It's that moment just after you've walked in, where you're just sitting and waiting, and that's it. And you know that on the other guy's TeamSpeak, e-voice vent, whatever, someone's name's being called. And it's not like in regular combat, where you can disengage or, you know, you can jink around, you can get some velocity up. You're just sitting there, probably at your optimal, waiting for one guy to get lit up, and you're just hoping to yourself that it's not you. Because the one thing that you really don't want to do is let your team down. Even if your team loses, you don't want to let them down. That's the point of it. If you follow your orders and it doesn't pan out, then that's life. That happens in any fight. But all I can remember from the last match was thinking to myself, dear Christ, do not click in the wrong place. Do not shut your guns off. Do not let your point stop. And that was it, the whole thing. Just keep on the targets and hope. Last time out was probably the last of what I would think to be the classic tournaments. Obviously we had the dual logistics turtle tanks in the past, and that came down to a single one this time out. But most of the teams are pretty similar to what we've seen before. Tank and gank, some went for ECM but it didn't quite work out. And the only team that really mixed it up was Pandemic Legion and their stealth bombers, which was so well coordinated that frankly they deserved every single kill that they got with it. No one saw it coming, and that's why it won, to be quite honest. What are we going to see this time out? Well, obviously there's been two really major changes since the last time, notwithstanding any changes to the rules, and that's been the Minmatar projectile changes, obviously, and the faction ship changes, both of which I think are really going to change the ship types that we see brought into this one. Aside from anything else, faction ships are rather more affordable than they used to be. You can pick up, say, a Gila for 160 mil, they're competitively priced against hacks. And so hopefully it's not just going to be the big boys with the big ISK that are going to be able to bring them to the battlefield. If I was setting up to be going for this year's tournament, then I would be probably basing everything around the Gila. And although it kind of sucks to go for big shield passive tanks, the Gila does it so well. You can pull about 1000 DPS tank just with Tech 2 without warfare links, and it gets near a 1500 DPS with a gang link Tengu with it, and with, you know, the same amount of damage that a Domi or an Ishtar could put out. There's very difficult to find a reason to not fly them. You've got a massive drone bay, you've got the choice of whatever drones you need to suit the situation. You've got that massive tank alongside, you know, 90, 100k EHP. And you know, if you base your team around that, and if you've got the option to put in a logistics ship as well, you can just dominate the centre of a fleet. You know, these big bricks that you just can't break, but do so much damage that you can't not put damage into them. It's the same kind of idea as bringing, you know, an Abaddon, or a couple of Abaddons, or a couple of Megatrons, for example. But drones, you know, you've got the choice of heavies, or you've got the choice of sentries or lights. You can change it up. You can use them for whatever you need to at the time. And that's the thing. You've got the big versatility, the big tank, and you know, you fill the rest of the team around it. Maybe assault frigs as well to team with the logistics, keep them alive as well, hold the targets down, stop anyone putting any serious DPS on your Gilas. I think that's what I'd really be looking at this time out. Of course there's been reworkings to lots of other stuff. I mean, we've got an entirely new line of Navy battleships out now. So we've got, you know, the Navy Dominics, which is pretty rocking, the Navy Scorp, which is nasty as hell. But I don't think that we're going to see as big a showing of them perhaps this year. I don't think they've been around long enough for people to really trust their abilities. Not to say that they won't be put in, but I think that people will be more inclined to go with more tried and true things, especially as only really the rattlesnake can put up that massive buffer that people really want out of their battleships. I mean, none of the new line of faction battleships can really match things like Abaddons and Throns and triple tri-marked and 4 plates and such. They are slightly more fragile, shall we say, and considering that they don't do as much DPS as their original counterparts, well, I don't think that we'll see them. Obviously, we've seen the Macarial has been boosted in 2 ways through the projectile changes and the faction chip changes, which means now that you can get some absolutely incredible fall-off range with those big ACs. You can push out to sort of 70-80 km, which is ample. You could hit anything inside the arena with that, and so you could bring, say, a pair of them, sit them down with your logistics ship or with something that's got reppers on it, and that's game. Send out some interceptors, some assault frigs, hold something down, beat it apart with ACs, nice and fast. You never have to change ammo. You've got great damage types with barrage. That's another great strategy. But then again, the Macarial is obviously a more demanding ship to fly in terms of skill points, as well as being a more expensive ship in general, and obviously the big pricey pirate battleships always tend to draw primary, so that's always going to be a problem for you. Talking about the projectile changes, of course, I think that we're going to see a lot more Minmatar this time out. I mean, we saw some last year in the more speed-based teams, but now that there's actually a good reason to use autocannons compared to anything else, people are going to start taking advantage of them. And in fact, they're probably one of the best weapon systems. I mean, assuming that drones are the most versatile, autocannons are probably the next. You've got that nice long range, you've got the choice of EMP to go against shields, you've got fusion to go against armour, you've got phase plasma, if you're going against the Martech 2, you've got all of those choices. You can just stick 1500 of each round in your hold and be ready to fight anything, and I think that's going to be quite attractive to a lot of FCs. So there you have it. That's my thoughts on this year's tournament. Hopefully it will be as good as last year's. Hopefully we'll see as inventive setups, as much scheming and as much stuff blown up. Thanks for listening. I've been Valia Sulfur, or Sam Dern, whatever. Thanks.
Thoughts of what is wrong, arrive at no conclusion. On the floor, still nursing wounds, no sense of self to speak of. The thought that God has taken sides on the path to breaking down.